In this cartoon, the devil's got the money, while the gospel worker flees to the safety of discipleship and Bible study. Since money is worldly, fundraising must be worldly. That's why some gospel workers avoid it or race to get it over with. But you got to do it. So let's think differently. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 1 to 6, Paul asked, "Do I have the right to be financially supported by the body of Christ?" In verses 7 to 14, he gives a resounding yes. And his answers start with the letter L. Logic. A farmer is allowed to eat the crops that he produces. Law. The Old Testament says you shall not muzzle the ox while he's threshing. Let the ox have a snack while he's working. Loyalty. We gave you Corinthians the gospel spiritually, now you can return financially. Levites. One tribe out of 12 was supported by the other 11 so they could be free to minister. Lord. Finally, Paul appeals to Jesus himself. Verse 14, so also the Lord directed those who proclaim the gospel to get their living from the gospel. That's a paraphrase of Matthew 10, where Jesus said, the laborer is worthy of support. But in verse 18, Paul surrenders his right to funding in order to offer the gospel without charge. You have a right to be supported, but you do not have the right to be pushy or demanding and thus discredit the gospel. Late author and theologian Henry Nouwen said, fundraising is as spiritual as giving a sermon, entering a time of prayer, visiting the sick, or feeding the hungry. Wow. Furthermore, if giving is a spiritual ministry, then cannot the invitation to give also be a spiritual ministry? It's worldly people that make fundraising worldly. When your pastor announces a collection on Sunday, does he say, now, ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our worship to do something worldly and secular? Where are you on this chart? With which face do you most identify? Oppressive burden? Even thinking about fundraising makes me tired. It's my duty. Into each life, some rain must fall. It's part of the missionary's job. I don't like it, but I guess I can do it. Or is it a privilege? A missionary colleague says that if his organization discovered gold under their office headquarters building and declared that all the staff can stop fundraising, he would join a different organization. That's how strongly he feels about the privilege of fundraising. Fundraising is a ministry because it advances the gospel. It helps draw givers nearer to God. And as you invite people to give, it might just help you draw nearer to God. I'm Scott Morton, and it's a privilege to be your funding coach.